All right, so we are going to talk about life skills. Life skills is not something that is actually very new to you, but it's very important that we talk about these things because often we don't have the opportunities to talk about them. And then you push your years of experience, you move to through uh, your career, and you have not gotten an opportunity to really look at these skills deeply. Yet they can act as the the lever which where you can uh, it can tilt you to higher positions, or it can move you to demotion. So they are actually very, very important, and that's why I have the picture of uh, the word success there. How do you jump into success? That gap there could not be necessarily because of your lack of academic qualification, not necessarily because of your lack of experience. It could be your life skills. And as I'm speaking this, I am remembering one person, and I think this story could be very important. I used to work in the field with one international organization. So time came when the organization wanted to downsize. They relocated staff, and they wanted to empower the local staff. So when that thing happened, it was not by coincidence that there was one person who was very isolated. The person lacked what we call social skills, or what you can call people skills. The person was rude. The person could not listen to opinion of his colleagues. The person was not social. It was not surprising that when downsizing came, he was the first one to be on the list, and the person packed and left. Until later on, 6 months later, now the second person had to be also their contract had to be terminated. So it appears that even the termination was not really related to the fact that the organization was downsizing, but perhaps it could have been because this person was not cooperating or working smoothly with others. That is a life skill. Okay, so your success through your career can largely be determined by your ability to navigate challenges of your daily life in terms of your professional life or even your family and social life. So, in this session, we're going to look at issues to do with critical thinking, problem solving, managing your emotions, your stress, managing your time in a healthy and productive way, how you can really develop and maintain positive relationships, and how you can achieve your goals by persistence and resilience. So life skills are quite many. They are really quite many. So it is difficult really to choose which ones to concentrate on. And throughout this presentation, I think I will use a lot of life stories, a lot of stories that could be in the media to illustrate how these things are really very important. But I also relate to the contextual challenges that we face in the country in relation to life skills. So here we have listed self-awareness, ability to maintain healthy relationships, which really requires a lot of skills, including collaboration, communication, conflict resolution, and empathy, critical thinking and creative thinking, stress management, problem solving, being assertive, good negotiation skills, financial literacy, and then the ability to search for jobs. I think this is where I can start from, searching for jobs. The jobs are extremely very scarce, especially in Juba here. Those of you who have these jobs, you're extremely very lucky to have them. Of course, the lack of jobs is caused by a number of factors. We are not setting up factories. We are not manufacturing anything. We don't have what we call infrastructure, big investment infrastructure developments. Okay, we don't have a lot of those, so the jobs are very few. Those who are in the private sector, they are basically being exploited. They are not living in what we call gainful employment. They are not having gainful employment. You live hand to mouth. What you earn is what you eat. They are being paid less. There are just very few organizations which are in the private sector which are actually paying well. So that means that the job market in the country is a do or die issue. And now when it comes to NGO jobs, it is extremely very difficult. You get an NGO job, when your contract gets terminated, you sit home. If you're very lucky, in 6 months' time, you can get a job, but it is also likely that you can get a job after 1 year or more than that. So it becomes extremely very difficult to get these jobs in the NGO sector. But if you have the right skills, you have the right qualifications, then the other determining factor, apart from those big factors that I've mentioned in terms of what is happening in the national landscape, those factors could basically be related to you as a person. Some people fail to get jobs because of who they are as individuals, in terms of either their professionalism, the techniques they use to look for jobs, their CVs, their ability to communicate, their ability to network, their performance in interviews. These are now what you call individual factors that influence the chances of getting jobs. So it means that if you really want to navigate the job market, especially in this country where merit is difficult, you need to have very strong social and networking skills. Social networking skills, you need to have them. They are very important. We have very few organizations which really follow the actual recruitment, the typical transparent recruitment process. So it means that if you're having a job, you need to make yourself very useful. One of the things that you really need to ask yourself is, what value am I providing to the organization? If there are no more funds within the organization, how can I be able to survive within this organization? Are you the person that they will think about when they want to reduce the number of staff? Or you are the person who they will think about in terms of retaining? Will you be the first or the last? That comes in if you really provide value in your work. The other thing that is also very important is your attitude towards work. Okay, your attitude towards work. I listened to a very prominent entrepreneur in Ghana. The person said that he interviewed um, 48 candidates for a job position. All of them had masters in business administration, what we usually call MBA. He interviewed all of them and he never recruited any of them because they lacked a lot of skills. And one of the things he pointed out was attitude. That they did not point out what they bring to the organization, which is very important. And this is what is actually very different from the NGO sector. When they recruit you to be in an NGO, most likely they will know that you're a finance person, you're going to manage finance. Now, when they recruit you into a private organization, you come with the finance qualifications or competences, but they will need more additional value from you. So the person said, from that moment on, he stopped looking at people's qualifications in recruiting staff. Okay, in recruiting staff, he stopped looking at people's qualification. He looks at attitude. What do you bring to the job? What extra skills do you bring? Okay, so he says that one's life is 70% dependent on their attitude. Then there is these skills. The skills contribute less in terms of your success, yeah, in a career. Okay, so why are people not really achieving what they are supposed to achieve? I had a very interesting discussion one day here in the office. I usually like to interact with young people who have just completed school and are looking for ways of surviving. These are people that I usually want to interact with. So I interacted with some young professionals. They have just graduated 2 years ago. But 2 years ago, after graduation, you don't see their progress. So they visited me here. I had several discussions with them. And one of the things I pointed out to them is that they're behaving like all other people. You want to be, you don't have high ambitions. You're just there living each day as it passes. One of them was extremely very intelligent, an intelligent student, what we call an A student, sitting at home for 6 months because he doesn't have a job. I was like, man, what is that? How can you be seated at home for 6 months when you have the qualifications, you have the brain, you're very intelligent? You can't even volunteer. You are just there seated at home. Yet there are very many opportunities for volunteering and things like that, doing community work, engaging yourself, doing a number of things. So we have people who are not high achievers. Why? Because perhaps they have not yet really found their purpose. They don't have that desire to change the community. They don't look up to people that can inspire them. They don't have mentors. They don't have role models. They're just living each day as it comes. They don't have any laid down plan, whether a career plan. You're working in an organization, they're giving you $700 per month, and that's it. You don't have the plan for the next 5 years, next 7 years. You don't know where you're going to be. Just living there. You don't have goals. You have not even written them anywhere. You're just waiting for the month to end and get your money and then wait for the other month to come. So you don't have goals. You don't have any single pressure. You don't have any big dreams. You're just living like any other person. You don't create what we call a mental image of where you want to be. Okay? If you're going to transform your life, you need to know how your life will be in the next 5 years. So you have the visualization of that life that you want. If you want to get married, you should have a visualization of how your marriage, how your family will be in your mind. That visualization is very important. You don't see yourself as a mother, you don't see yourself as a manager, you're just seeing yourself in that position of an officer. Others, they try and give up very early. You don't have mentors, people don't guide you, they don't tell you when things are wrong. Some of you are the most highly educated persons in your families or in your clan, and no one can tell you that perhaps what you're doing is not right. You don't have mentors. Your supervisor is basically a supervisor and is not mentoring you. You need to have a mentor, a person who can give you direction, how you can reach your destination. You don't have any focus, you're hating yourself, you don't even take care of yourself. And some people don't want to, for example, you have people who wait for the right conditions to be able to do anything. I will not buy a plot until I get 10,000 US dollars. I will not start building until I get this. I will not get married because I have not got the perfect man, as if there is a perfect man, or as if there is a perfect woman. Okay? So there are people who are obsessed with perfectionism. You don't want to start a business because you think the economy is too bad. Okay? Others really think they are ordinary. You need to be a person who has vision, who believe that you can do something that can transform the community where you're coming from. If you believe you have nothing to offer, you live a very simple life which is not driven by any devotion to creating impact in society. You don't have the effort to make changes in your life that can propel you to move to the next level. They tell you to read, they tell you to go back to school and study, you're just there. You're not motivated even at work, you're not motivated in your life. Low resilience. This is where your threshold for withholding pressure or being able to navigate challenges is very limited. That is like low resilience. You get a small problem, you are down the whole week, the whole month. That is low resilience. You can't manage your relationships, whether you're with your boyfriend, your husband, your wife, your friends, your supervisor. The relationships are broken. If you have those, you can't achieve. If you want to please everybody, forget about being an achiever. Forget it. You can't make everyone happy. And then some people believe they can't really do anything. One, maybe because they feel they don't have the right qualification to even do something. These are the ones we call the powerless ones. You have a qualification, you got a chance and went to school, and now it is time for you to work and give back to the community or even your family. But you feel there is nothing much that you can really change. That is the belief of powerlessness. So let's talk about the key skills that you really need to have. If you are to navigate those issues, it means you'll be able to be successful. If you really can be able to overcome the challenges that I've mentioned above, you can be able to move forward. So building effective interpersonal skills is very important. There's nothing that you can really get in this world without people. Yeah. Everyone has someone that was very pivotal in their life, whether it is career life, whether it is social life, whether it is during your studies. Someone must have been there for you. Okay, so relationships are very important. If you have a very shower relationship with your supervisor at work, chances of being promoted are minimum. Chances of being given a very good recommendation letter are very minimal. Chances of having a very good reference check are very minimal. So it means your career will stagnate if you don't have very good relationships or interpersonal skills with meaningful people. Okay, so that means that you really need to know people and be able to navigate the boundaries of interpersonal relationships. Okay, conversational skills are very important. We can call them soft skills, we can call them people skills, we can call them conversational skills. Form meaningful relationships or friends or friendships. Who are your friends? The people that you really have shared values, that can really respect you. They can respond to whatever need that you have. They can be able to offer support. Okay? But you cannot attract the right people if your self-esteem is down, if you don't have self-confidence, if you don't have shared values and interests. So it means for you to form good friends, you actually, it starts with you. You usually get your mirror. What this means is that you get a friend who is exactly like you. So that means that if you want to be a better person and create better friends, it means that you need to improve yourself first. People who fly, who move together usually, they have the same manners or behaviors. Okay, so for you to be able to create that friendship and maintain it, of course, you need to be open with one another, honest, cooperate, show empathy and love. They're very important for friendships. Okay, so navigating through these relationships requires a number of other skills. If you have conflicts, you need to resolve them. You need to be communicating regularly, show empathy, the showing of love, which I already talked about. Good communication skills are also very, very key. Okay? Reflect on yourself, check your self-esteem and confidence, improve on them if they are not optimal. Okay? Work on that. Your communication, which basically includes body language and non-verbal cues, are also very important. Okay, when you're going to interact with the with the public, it means your ability to communicate should be excellent. You need to have what you call public etiquette. How you behave in the eyes of the public. What is your conduct? Okay, how do you interact with the authorities? It's also very important. If you're driving, then the policeman tells you to stop. How do you interact with that policeman? Okay, it all shows interpersonal skills. Look inward. Looking inward means you really need to look at yourself and see if you can really uh, understand what you go through as a person in terms of emotions. What are you able to do? What are your weaknesses really? Everyone has weaknesses. But do you have to glorify your weaknesses? Or do you want to move uh, in a direction to improve yourself in terms of your weaknesses? Is there anything that you're trying to do to make sure that you uh, you are not known by your weakness? So it's another important issue. Everyone has weaknesses, but when you look at people, don't they are more than their weaknesses. Okay, people are more than their weaknesses. They have positives which we often underlook and then focus on the negative. But people generally are more than their weaknesses. But as a person, what are you doing on your weaknesses? That is very important. Okay, so it is very important to also have people who can give you feedback in terms of your ways of life. Okay, people can be able to give you what we call constructive feedback. They can be able to tell you that you see this and that and that. These are not things that don't portray. These are things that don't portray you in the right image. Okay, and then the other aspect is self-image. Okay, self-image. This is very important. How you how you form an image of yourself. What image of yourself do you have? Are you looking at yourself as a very small, incompetent person? And if indeed you are small, then that is going to be a very big problem. But if you look at yourself as a small but highly intelligent, highly social person, then that's going to be a good self-image. So you actually have you have an opinion about yourself, and that opinion about yourself is either positive or negative. If you have a negative opinion about yourself, then that is a negative self-image. That's something that you may need to avoid. Self-awareness is very, very, very key, because you can be able to capitalize on your strength and be able to know your weaknesses, and then get the right people to complement you. So, for example, if you're looking for a partner, you can't look for a partner when you really don't understand yourself. You need to understand what you like and what you dislike, and then be able to get the right partner. If you dislike something and your partner actually likes it, the relationship can't work. So you need to first understand yourself and know who you are in terms of your strengths and weaknesses, and then that's when you can really move forward. You can't move forward if you really don't know who you are. So look inwards, have a positive image of yourself. That's when you can really move forward. Okay? So embrace your uniqueness. Okay, this is also very important. There is no universal, or you can call, there is no template of a human being. There is no template of a human being. This is to say that you can't say that I want to be like so and so exactly. You can't be. Even when you produce children, they will never be like the imagination you have. They will only come in the image of God. They will always be unique. So their uniqueness, you really need to embrace it. That also means that your uniqueness, you have to embrace it yourself. Okay? So this uniqueness can also be in terms of the weaknesses. But if you over criticize yourself because of the weaknesses, then you may not be able to move forward. You'll be caught in it within your criticism, criticizing yourself, and you're not moving. Okay? And then you need to learn from failure. Sometimes you have a negative self-image because of perhaps some things that have happened in your life before. If you don't move away from that, for example, they say your history should not define your future. So you basically just need to learn from your failure and then move. Celebrating small successes are very important in boosting self-image. Okay? People are not very grateful. Like, one story I can say is you really need to be very grateful with your life. It's only when you really see people actually whose life depend on a machine, on life support, for example, and there is a decision whether there is a decision to be made whether to switch off the machine or not. But for you, you wake up without any illness and go to work, and in the evening attend lectures. Why don't you celebrate that? You first want to have very big achievements. That's when you really want to say that's when you really want to celebrate. Sometimes it's not that. So celebrate the small wins. Even when, for example, you have a habit that you want to stop, the first steps in making sure you stop that habit, if it is alcohol, drink alcohol, take 10 beers. Maybe if you start reducing to 5 to 6, you need to celebrate that. You move to 2, and then until you finally don't take alcohol anymore. So when you celebrate those wins, they contribute a lot. Focus on your strength, okay? But that does not mean that you actually forget your weaknesses. You can work on your weaknesses. Avoid blaming yourself. Build your self-confidence. Mature in emotions. We shall talk about emotions here. Manage your emotions. Emotions are very important because they give you peace. If you may have emotional issues, emotional reactions, this is to say that even in stressful conditions, you need to be able to manage your emotions. If it becomes something that is very difficult, then perhaps you need to get counseling. You need to get a counselor. Talk to people. Engage in activities. Play football, run around. Exercising helps. Move away from situations that can evoke emotions. There are people who are holding grudges, or you can call them hunger for long. And the triggers are usually very small, and then you get emotional issues. God is very important, the last point. That means that if you're prayerful, you can be in control. It can help you be in control of yourself. So, self-awareness, knowing who you are, and knowing your strengths, your weaknesses, having a positive image of yourself is very, very vital in your growth as a person. It allows you to grow in terms of wisdom. You demonstrate characters of being honest, humility, confidence, and a person who has values. It's very important. Self-esteem, how you feel about yourself. If you have a low self-esteem, you cannot express yourself. You cannot take actions. You think you are inadequate. If you have a high self-esteem, you're going to live a life which is a positive life, fulfilling life, with happiness, joy, with the healthy lifestyle, increase the confidence. The success will always be on your way. Okay? So, self-esteem, high self-esteem is very, very important. How are you raising your children to have high self-esteem? It's very important. What you see in this day of social media, okay? There are two situations that actually happen. Some people of low self-esteem may think that if they post pictures when they are half naked, then they are making it. Someone may think that if I post a picture when I'm fully well dressed, then people will not really admire me. See, that's a self-esteem issue. Okay? How you portray yourself, even on social media, tells us who your self-esteem. Okay? So you need to believe in yourself. Okay? You need to feel positive about yourself. So why is it that some people have low self-esteem, others have high self-esteem? Primarily, it's about how people are raised, because we have what you call institutions, social institutions. If you have parents who are abusive, non-loving parents, then that's going to affect your self-esteem. If you stay in a family where you are really abused, they mistreat you, you go to school, you are bullied, then it's going to be very tough. Okay? But it's very important that you really look at uh, creating positive relationships and creating a very strong social support around children and around yourself also. It helps in boosting self-esteem. Esteem. Okay? Avoid comparing yourself with others. This is another thing that is a problem. You're actually unique. You will never be the same like other people, even if you are actually twins. Your experiences are going to be different. Your opportunities are going to be different. So if you compare yourself with others, then you are going to have a lot of problems. Okay? If you match your expectations with that of the society, then you're going to have problems. Societal expectations can negatively impact on your self-esteem. Okay? There are assumptions that societies make about people. And maybe you are 40 years and above, you have studied, and you have this job, you have built, but you're not married. If you let societal expectations come into your head, then you're going to have self-esteem issues. You may think that you're inadequate because you're not married. Okay? So that is matching cultural norms and societal expectations. You need to be able to balance these issues and know what you really want. But also mental problems such as depression can really contribute to low self-esteem. Okay? So self-esteem is about how you view yourself. If you view yourself in a positive manner, then you're going to express yourself confidently, and then you're going to attract positive relationships. You're going to attract very good partners, very good husbands, very good wives. So if you have a negative self-image or a very low self-esteem, it's very hard for you to really navigate relationships. Okay? So feedback can enhance your self-esteem. So that means also even you as parents, how do you give feedback to your children? For example, if they are in school and then they bring to you a report card which is not having marks that you really expected. What kind of feedback do you give? That feedback that you give can kill the child's self-esteem. Or it can enable them build self-esteem to what is expected. Okay? Resilience and coping skills can boost or can bolster self-esteem. Okay? If you have gone through difficult situations, then it means that your self-esteem will be high. But if you're a person who chickens out when things are tough, then you're most likely going to have low self-esteem. People who have high self-esteem, of course, are the ones who are likely to succeed. Okay? They are going to succeed. Why are they going to succeed? It's when they are bold, they are confident, they can talk to anyone, they can knock on doors. Okay? They can be able to express their opinion. If it is asking for the job, they will ask for it. They will not look at the qualification they have. They say, I will do this job. That is high self-esteem. If you are a person of low self-esteem, you're most likely you're going to fear to apply because you have seen that there is the qualification is master's, or the qualification for this job is bachelor's. Yet you actually have the experience, but you don't believe in yourself. You're not going to apply for it. When you go for the interview, you are actually timid. You are timid. not confident. You can't express yourself. Yet in reality, you can do the things. Okay? So that means that it's very, very important for you to have a very good image of yourself and even your competences. Know that I can do this thing. If you have that, there is no door that will be difficult for you to knock. The people of low self-esteem are the ones are going to live a life that is miserable, unhappy. They are not achieving. They feel like they don't fit in. They feel like something is missing. Okay, they feel that guilt, that shame. They blame themselves, and they have judgmental attitude. Okay, you go for one interview, someone wins, emerges the best candidate and takes the job, but because of your self-esteem, you think that someone has corrupted to get that job. So you're blaming other people. You're actually making judgments about other people for your low performance. Okay? So if you have low self-esteem, you will not really have happiness. You'll be a miserable person, negative feelings, always blaming themselves. You think the world is against you. You think things are not right. Okay? You're not making any move towards improving yourself. You always want to wait for the best opportunity possible, yet that best opportunity will not really happen. So please, if you're going to improve on your self-esteem, of course, assessing yourself is very important. Knowing yourself is very, very, very important. Knowing who you are, and knowing that there is a reason for why God created you, and then making sure that you really strive to make sure that you make progressive improvement in your life. If you have moments where you think negatively about yourself, then try to do other hobbies, exercise, avoid comparisons. Don't over focus on the mistakes that you have made in your life. And then, of course, make sure that you're in charge. Focus on things that you can really control rather than focusing on things that you cannot really control. This is related to what I explained earlier on the issues of the internet in the country. Internet access is a problem in the country. How much control do you have over it? Negligible, if any. There's nothing you're going to do about the internet. But will the internet actually prohibit you from studying and finishing your program? The answer is no. Why? Because there are alternatives. You have the soft books, you have the PowerPoints, and other resources to be able to navigate. Self-care, care about yourself. Self-care means a lot of things, but let me ask you what it actually means according to you. Let me pause, slide 25. Self-care means what according to you? Ali, what do you think is self-care? Hey, you people, are you people hearing me or what? Florence, tell me about self-care as a woman. Florence, Pony, and then Dawa. I want to hear what self care is in a woman's perspective. Yes? Yes, Dawa. Self care means what?
Um, Thank you very much. Let me try. Self-care for me, like, it's an ability for me to be able to promote my own health or prevent diseases and maintain health and cope with even the illnesses, any disability without the support of a health personnel or health worker.
Okay, thank
That's
you
my
very
own
much.
understanding. Eh?
Okay, thank you. Yes, Pony?
Yeah, to me, I think self-care is basically making sure you're at the position of uh, a good mental state, for example, your mental health, and then your physical, and then your ability to always first consider how this thing will affect you before getting into it. So that consciousness of always wanting to be at the right side and uh, a good frame, I think that's self-care. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so let me get one opinion from a gentleman. So we have Richard, Ali, and Justin. Mm-hmm. Opinion from a man, from a gentleman. Eh, are these people with us or yes? Yes, go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, for me, I look at self care in terms of checking on yourself, whether your how your life look like. Because when you reflect on it, whether you've been mentally, physically, or even spiritually, how you are faring with your life, then you can easily be able to adjust and fit so that you remain in a position of a normal human being and move like the rest. Thank you. I
Okay.
think that's how I was trying to view. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Yes, so self-care is actually very, very important. And I will use, I believe most of you, if uh, not all of you, are working with NGOs in the field. Um, One instance where um, people fail to take care of themselves is when uh, you're working with this NGO, you are in the field, and then, of course, because you're in the field, your salary doesn't, you don't get your salary usually instantly because of issues to do with banking and things like that. So maybe what you get is an upkeep, which is just a small percentage of your salary. You only get your salary when you reach Juba. So you reach Juba, you have stayed in the field for 4 months, and then you reach home, everyone is coming to you, say, please, my son has not paid school fees, this one, there is a ceremony which needs to be done. you lack the time to even have holiday for yourself. You don't have holiday. You have come for a holiday, but you have not really come for a holiday because you are the one who has moved with some money and you want to solve all the problems of the clan. And by the time your 2 weeks or 3 weeks of holiday end, you have not bought yourself a shoe or you have not even taken yourself out. um, you have not even made your hair if you're a woman. Uh, you see, such things. That is what we call self-care. Self-care, you really need to make sure that you focus on yourself. First, focus on yourself. Take care of yourself. How do you take care of yourself? It may require you to even isolate yourself from people. We have what we call toxic people. People who bring stress to you. When you isolate yourself from them, that is self-care. Because you want to maintain your mental well-being. You don't want people to intoxicate you. If you go for a vacation, that is self-care. You are rewinding, you're re-energizing, you're re-strategizing. Most of us here, you move from the field, you come to Juba, and then you go to, if your family is not in Juba, if it is in the village, you go there. You reach there are a lot of issues. You actually have more stress on your holiday than when you're at work. So you need to take care of yourself. If, of course, like I said, if you don't really take care of yourself, well, how will you gain that self-esteem? How will you have that self-confidence? I have a friend who went for a conference for the first time in Kigali. The person said that she was the only one holding a phone which was old and having broken screen. Okay? This is to mean that, you see, this person was focused on making sure that other people are well, yet for her, she is not getting the things that she actually deserves. You're the one who is sweating, but when Christmas comes, you eat bones. When a nice thing comes, you just admire it because there is so and so who needs to be taken care of. The point here is that you cannot take care of other people if you can't take care of yourself. So the logic is that if you are not mentally sound, if you are not healthy, you cannot be able to take care of other people. And who said that if you can't take care of other people, they can't really survive? Okay? So that means that you don't really need to make your life miserable. You want to eat chicken, but because you are saving money for some other person, then you can't eat it. That is not self-care. Okay, so make sure that you really prioritize yourself. It's very, very important. Your cup has to be full for you to be able to share. That's usually the saying. So if you don't take care of if you don't make sure that your own cup is full, you can't be able to share. So celebrate small victories, kindness, surround yourself with positive people who have ambitions, who have values that you actually share. They can help you improve your self-esteem. Of course, the values that are basically universal: self-respect, humility, happiness. These are things that you should actually live your life by. They can be able they can enable you live through life in a positive way. I will not talk about this because I've mentioned about that several times. Manage your emotions. Negative emotions can be related to many things, but at least be able to control your moods. If you don't, you're going to live a sad, miserable life. So positive thinking will bring about positive feelings, and positive feelings basically means positive life and happiness. Okay, so don't dwell a lot on negative feelings. It will result into depression. You don't want that to happen. Stress management is very important because we live in a world where we experience a lot of stresses. The stresses can come from every angle, from work, your boyfriend, your husband, your wife, an illness that you're suffering with. So this stress can cause a lot of negative impact on your life. It can predispose you to diseases, it can strain relationships, can bring issues at work. Okay, so how you respond to this stress is very, very important. You need to develop the traits that can allow you to navigate through stressful situations. Stresses can manifest in a number of ways. Emotions, physical, having headache, muscle tension, your ability to concentrate, sometimes overreacting, overeating, withdrawing away from people. Those are all elements of stress. If you don't manage stress, you easily get cardiovascular diseases, you get infections, you get ulcers. Okay? If the stress is prolonged, and then you get mental health disorders. And when you go to that end, it's going to be very bad at your workplace, at home, and you're not going to live a very joyful life. So you really need to have the skills to manage stress. For example, you who are in school, you will have stress related to the deadline for submission of assignments, deadline for submission of reports at work. You have people who feel, or you tend to feel that you don't feel in a particular group of people, peer rejection, family issues. Your husband is having problem with your ability to, with you studying. Okay, so you have these family grumbles, quarrels here and there, or perhaps you have lost a loved one. So these things actually cause stress, amongst many others. The economic situation causing a lot of stress. You lose a job, a lot of stress. Okay? A relationship which is not moving in the right direction, you lose stress. You have a lot of stress. Okay? But stress is not necessarily bad. We have what we call positive. You have the positive side of stress. The positive side of stress is the one which makes you achieve your goals. So stress can be positive, can have positive consequences or negative consequences, depending on how you really manage it. Of course, for you to be able to manage the stress, you need to identify the factors that cause that stress, and then be able to deal with that stress. Okay, I've talked about that. The other very big issue, which they call the work-life balance, is related to what I've just explained. You see, you work in an organization. Because of your work, your relationship or your marriage gets strained. You are in the field, the money is in Juba. Okay? When you are in Juba, the money is in the field. Now, that means that your social life and your work life is going to be strained. So you have an issue to do with work-life balance. Okay? It's very important for you to allocate enough time for your professional work, but also for your personal life. I've seen this with it's only here that we don't have institutionalized mental health mental health facilities. But for example, if you go to Butarika, the main referral hospital for mental illnesses in Uganda, you will see that the children of the rich are the ones struggling with drug abuse in those rehabilitation centers, including Butarika Hospital. Why? The reason is attributed to parenting. You focus a lot on chasing the dollar, and then you are not available for your children, and then your children, because of life stresses, they end up abusing drugs. Then they become addicts, and then you at the end realize that you are basically chasing shadows when you're at work. You want children to be better, you have the money now, but now the children are in rehabilitation for drug abuse. So that means that balancing life and work is very important. You need to have time for your children and be able to raise them. If you don't raise them, they end up with drug abuse, and then you have issues. Okay, so if you're working, make sure that you really have time for your family, or even have time for you yourself. Maybe, for example, you are not yet married or you have not married. What time do you really have for yourself? That's what we call work-life balance. It's very important. If you don't look at that, if you don't balance that, this is what comes from people who have retired. You work extremely very hard. You make sure that the children study in good schools. You take them to boarding. They study, they graduate, they finish, they get jobs. For you, when you are retired, you come home. You don't have very good relationships with them. And they just look at you just like a person. You are not friends to your family or to your children. Okay? So you feel isolated, and it doesn't take isolation or loneliness or lack of belonging contributes to shortening of your life. So what you do now actually has a lot of impact in your retirement. So you need to be able to handle your stress at work, at home, and be able to create very meaningful time for yourself. There are very few, extremely very few of my colleagues who really get time and say, I'm going to go to a beach and have fun. Very few of my friends do that. And I'm very sure some of you might not even have that in their plan. You don't have at least a week in a year or in 6 months to be away and have fun for yourself, either alone or with your significant others. Because it is during that time for R&R that you can really start to look at life in a different angle. Have fun, re-strategize, unwind, remove all that stress, and then come back and work. Regularly exercise, I've talked about that. Avoid drugs, alcohol, nicotine. These are things that can be able to reduce some stress, but will have negative impact on your life. So you don't want to have that. Have a network of friends. Have a network of friends. This is very, very important. You need to have that social connection. If you get a problem, who is going to be there for you? So you need to have meaningful friends. It can help in stress reduction because you can be able to talk to people. People who commit suicide are often those who don't have people they can talk to. Okay? Read novels, listen to music, do some gardening. This can also reduce stress. We talk about mindfulness and relaxation techniques. Of course, when you want to control your life, you need to control your mind. So how do you meaningfully take charge of your mind? Okay, how do you meaningfully take charge of your life? So what you put in your mind will be what manifests in your physical life. So that means that you need to take care of what gets into your mind. So there should be a cautious effort by you to make sure that your mind is sane. And like I said earlier on, moving away from people who have negative energy, like what they usually say, is self-care. Having adequate sleep is self-care. Okay? Maybe you need a pet, that is self-care. Maybe you need to talk to a counselor, that is self-care. Okay? Embracing positive stress, that's also very important for your growth. Managing your emotions, very, very important. So your mind is very important, and you need to be able to control what goes into your mind. So the other aspect about the mind is what we call emotional intelligence. It is quite a wide topic, but I've picked a few components that we can look at. Self-awareness is a concept that we have really talked about. Self-management, how you really control your emotions or emotional regulation. Impulse control. There are things that force you to do certain things. There is that force within you that forces you to do something. But before you do it, think about it. That is what we call impulse control. So this is where you see someone who has lifted up their hand to slap someone, and then they stop, and then they don't slap. That is impulse control. It's part of self-management. Adaptability. Okay? If you move to drastic conditions, are you able to adapt? If you move to a place of different cultures, different food, what are you able to do? Stress management is very important. Social awareness, respecting, recognizing the emotions of others and how they look at things is very important as part of social awareness. So it involves empathy, social recognition, and relationship management. Now, what I've seen is that very many young adults fail to manage relationships. Not these relationships of what you can call sexual relationships. No, relationships with the people with colleagues, with mentors, with seniors, and with others, significant others. Relationship management is very important. if you have a mentor, how are you managing that relationship between you and the mentor? If you have a business partner, how are you managing that relationship? So relationship management is very key. You get very good contacts of very resourceful individuals, but the problem comes in how you turn that relationship into something that is meaningful, and it relates to relationship management. Okay. So negative emotions, we talked about this. I think we can end here for now. I've talked enough. Yeah, slide 15. That's not bad.